Hello, my name is Rodney Hill, and today we're going to set up our wireless access point on an ICB battery tool. So to do this today, I have a couple of things that I need here. I have my ICB battery tool. I have a 14-volt battery that we'll use to power the tool. I have a Torx screwdriver that we're going to use to take off the back of the tool here where we can access our micro USB connection. And then here I also have a USB-A to micro USB cable. This is a standard cable that you probably have for other devices, but it's also something that you can find quite easily on the internet. And we're going to connect to the tool and set this tool up for the first time. So the first thing I will do here is I'm going to use my Torx screwdriver and take off the back of the tool here. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the battery and get it started up while we're doing the rest here. I plug in my USB-A connection to, I have a Surface Pro here, but you could really use any device that has a web browser and uses a RNDIS driver, RNDIS. That's built into Windows 10, so any Windows 10 device that you connect this to, it will identify itself as an Ethernet device. So we can see this tool is still booting here until our red and green lights stop. Now the tool is booted up and it's ready to go. So I'm going to go into my web browser here on my computer, and by default, when we're plugged into our micro USB connection, our IP address to access the tool is 169.254.1.1. If you've ever used the service port on the PF6000, that will seem very familiar, and that's because it's the same address that we use for these tools. So as I pull that up here, we can see now the interface from the tool. And if we look at our software interface here, we have a nice new dark gray interface or flat dark interface for these tools. This is the same as the PowerFocus 6000. It has a new color scheme, but you'll notice a lot of the functionality and setup on this is exactly the same as you're familiar with from the PowerFocus 6000. So now we're going to go into our settings menu, and as I mentioned there, I want to turn on my access point mode. So I'll see here my very first option under settings is network. And if I take a look here, I have channels, and I have 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz channels. These are the channels that we would use for different Wi-Fi networks. When we use our wireless access point, that only works with the 2.4 gigahertz channels. So I'm going to go in this menu. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it on. It has some pre-populated IP addresses here in the menu. I'm actually going to change this a little bit because we're going to use a network that we're going to set up later for some different exercises. So I will put in my IP address that I want the tool to have. I'm going to give it 192.168.140.15. My subnet mask and gateway are okay as is. Down here under DHCP server, I'm going to change my addresses here to match the range that I set up. And I'm going to have the first reservation start at 100 and the last one end at 150. I'm not going to have more than 50 devices, so I won't need all of that. Then I need to give my network a name. We're going to call this IXB01. If I hit apply here, actually I need to set a password, so I'll go down here and set a password for my network. I'm going to just set my password as Atlas Copco for today, all lowercase, and hit apply. So what happens now is I can see down here that my access point mode is turned on. And now to access that from my computer, what I'll need to do is go look at my wireless networks, and I'm going to select that IXB network here once it shows up in my list. So it'll take just a minute, and there it is. I'm going to click on it here. I'm going to click connect. I'm going to put in the password that I just set up, Atlas Copco, hit next, and it's going to connect to the tool here over the wireless network that we just built. So we'll give it a few minutes here to get connected. While that's happening, I'm going to go ahead and bring up a command prompt window so we can test and see that we're connected to that network. We'll look again at the wireless network. It looks like we are connected. It's giving us a warning here that there's no internet connection, and that's because we're just connected to a local network. But I'm going to verify this connection by running an IP config. And I can see up here, here's my connection that I have via the USB cable, and I'm getting ready to disconnect that. And then down here, I can see that I got an IP address for my machine here of 192.168.140.100, which is the first address on my DHCP reservation list. So now I will unplug the micro USB cable that we have connected to the tool, and I will access the tool now using the address that I gave it, which if we remember, that's 192.168.140.15. So I do that, and now I'm connected to the tool with no USB cable. This has been configuring the wireless access point mode on an ICB tool. If you have any questions, please contact your Atlas Copco representative. And thanks for watching.